Well, was it around that time you partnered with Robert De Niro on the TRCA Grill restaurant? Uh, I remember this very, very well. We were actually doing reshoot on the first Power, okay? They changed the ending. The movie was testing so well. They decided to set the ending up, make it a little bit bigger, put a little bit more money into it, but also open the door to a sequel, which to this day I still think we should made, and I think we can still go back, and tell a pretty cool story, to be honest. There's a book coming out, actually, that's a novelization of the first Power, and I'm writing the foreword to that. Um, so, I shoot literally a 22-hour day, okay? A 22-hour day, and I get home uh, uh, as the sun comes up Saturday morning, and I take a hot shower. I pour myself a quadruple scotch. I'm living in Laurel Canyon. I have a garden that nobody else can see. And I walk out there butt naked in the sun in California with my scotch. And I'm about to, have a drink and go to sleep. The phone rings. It's 10 a.m. Now, on a Saturday morning, I thought, who the heck calls me at 10 a.m. on a Saturday? If they know me, they know not to do that. And this is back when you could, screen the call and hear the incoming call, right? And so beep, leaving message, beep. I said, Lou, hey, it's Bobby. I'm in Vancouver. I'm doing a movie with Sean and diving for the phone because I had met Bobby at the Deauville Film Festival where Lamba had a premiere, another ridiculously long story. I dressed up as a bellboy, got in his room and delivered champagne, so, at any rate, we now know each other, we're now friends, and he calls me up, and he was making We're No Angels with Sean Penn in Vancouver at the time. And he says, hey, listen, I'm opening up this restaurant. This is, I think, 1989 because we open up in 1990. Bill Murray and Sean Penn and Mikhail Baryshnikov and, tons and tons of people come into invest in this restaurant. And yeah, I was one of the original investors and very proud of it to this day. I mean, it's a mainstay now. I mean, Bobby had such vision to go because TCA was very, very industrial at the time. It wasn't really, a place where you would go out to dinner, but he, he had a vision, and TCA Grill attracted all sorts of other restaurants, and now it's this vibrant, wonderful place to, even tourists go. Well, 5 years later, after you guys launched the TCCA Grill, Robert De Niro partners up with No Matua Matsuhisa. And so the No opens up next to the TRCA Grill, which is fantastic, right? Right? So he ends up being one of the main investors in NOU. And now is a global phenomenon, not only restaurants, but hotels as well. I stayed at the NOU Hotel in Atlanta last. I didn't know that. That's great. I'll have to keep that in mind. So did you get a chance to invest in NOU as well? No, I wish I had. Are you kidding? That would have been huge, right? It's like Forrest Gump and Apple, you know what I mean? So he didn't, even after success of TCA Grill, he didn't say, hey, I got this new restaurant idea. I think TRCA did so well that he realized he didn't need as many investors, he can keep a lot of it to himself. Well then, in 1992, you work on Shadow the Wolf. Yeah. With Donald Sutherland. Now you already worked with his son, Kafir Sutherland. So now you got the whole father and son thing going, exactly. Yeah. Donald was wonderful, and Kay and I mean, God, we've done like 5-6 films together, so it was a real honor to work with Donald. Donald was an amazing presence. God rest him. Very particular cat, very specific guy. Does not suffer fools. So, you can't be a goofball around him, right? Well, on set, you met Jennifer Tilly, and you guys were briefly engaged. Yeah, man, we dated for a number of years. We were engaged, briefly, it's funny because Brandon's birthday was pretty recent, and he would have been 60, Brandon Lee, and I posted a shot. I'd cooked him, like a Sunday dinner, and he was over at the house with Steve Lukar, who's still a very, very dear friend, a singer and a guitarist for Toto, and Jenny was there at the time. So yeah, the film that I've, written about Brandon was about those times, in that the people that hung out at my house, when I was, single, and I used to have a poker game every Monday night for like 20 years. Brad Pitt and George Clooney used to hang out, Dave Schweimer before Friends, the entire cast of Nano 2 and Zero, Jason and God bless Luke Perry, he was a regular as well, and including like Brandon and Kiefer and people like that. So we were this really interesting why.
It was an incredible film that became an unlikely hit, and it was also strange. I was standing in the living room, and what was really weird was that it took a whole year for Obama to be released. The studio had only invested $6 million, essentially making it a negative pickup, meaning they didn't believe much in the film, but agreed to distribute it. That studio was Columbia, and they had no real expectations for it. The film itself, at the time, was a modest project about a fairly obscure Mexican-American rock and roller. He was a footnote in music history, and nobody expected this movie to make a splash. The role was played by an unknown actor from Texas, me. The film also featured my dear friend, Joel Giuliano, who became one of the biggest stars, and other notable actors, but no one with big box office appeal. The expectations for the movie were incredibly low, and I couldn't get arrested in Hollywood at that point. I couldn't even get hired by audition. Despite being the lead in the film, no one cared. Nobody thought it was going to be successful. I was almost out of money, having made a minimum salary for Obama. I had 3 roommates and was surviving on about $300 a week. By Christmas, I was almost broke, and I thought I was done with Hollywood. Out of the blue, I got an audition for a television show called Crime Story. I was too young for the role, but I went for it anyway. The casting director, Lonnie Timmerman, also worked on Miami Vice. I didn't get the role in Crime Story, but they called me later with an offer to audition for Miami Vice. So, I found myself on a plane heading to Miami to work on the show, making as much as I did for Obama. I was cast in an episode titled Red Tape. In that episode, my partner was Viggo Mortensen. Edward James Olmos had done a film with me, and that connection helped me get into the episode. Eddie was aware of my role in Obama, and we had one scene together. We had multiple camera setups, and I figured out where my close-up would be. After finishing the scene, Eddie looked at me and asked, "What are you doing?" I told him about the film, and he gave me a number to call. It turned out that the number belonged to the director of Stand and Deliver, a project I was perfect for. I called, met with him, and that's how I ended up in that movie. It was all just so bizarre,